Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
Coming up this week, we've got a new gravel bike from mountain bike legends Kona, and we delve into the murky world of crowdfunding.
Plus, our big talking point this week, are cyclists getting fitter, or is it just tech making us faster? More on that soon. Before we get on to our big talking point, first, what's hot in the world of tech this week?
Well, not much, Ollie. I mean, it has been quite a quiet week, really, this week in terms of product launches, but it's no great surprise given how many massive product launches we have already had this year, like 5 disc brake aero road bikes for start, not to mention the gazillion gravel bikes that have already launched. But that said, there is always room for one more, and Kona have joined the party with their new Libre.
Yeah, Kona is a brand that's most established in mountain bikes, and the Libre is certainly a bike that's unashamed of its mountain bike roots. In terms of the official GCN gravel spectrum, it certainly sits towards the mountain bike end of the gravel spectrum.
And you're right, it is an official spectrum, Ollie. I'm glad you've given it its proper title.
Yeah,
all it's missing basically is a flat handlebar and a set of suspension forks, isn't it? It's got really long chain stays and quite a slack head angle, so you'd think on paper it would corner like it's on rails, and it also has massive tyre clearance.
Yeah, it could be the perfect touring bike as well. It's got 4 sets of bottle cage bossers. It's got more on the fork. It's also got rack mounts, fender mounts, and
top tube
mounts as well. So
you know what, mate?
What?
Kona are a Canadian brand.
Yeah.
So this bike should actually be called the Mountie, not the Libre. Sorry. Anyway, if you loaded it up, there's a possibility that you might even be able to move house with this bike. Although, having said that, it must be relatively quick because Kona ambassador and mountain bike 24-hour champion Corey Wallace actually rode this bike to 14th in the Dirty Kanza. So yeah, relatively speedy as well.
Yeah,
anyway,
certainly a far cry from all the sort of aero bike bonanza bikes we've had recently. So
that is very true. Right. Stay tuned because we're going to be delving into the craziness / potentially innovation heavy world of crowdfunding, but we now have our big talking point.
Are cyclists getting fitter and faster, or is it just down to tech?
Yeah, so over the years, records get broken. We continually see times getting faster in events like the Team Pursuit and the World Hour Record. And even though there are more variables when you compare times up famous climbs, apart from an inexplicable blip in the late 90s, early 2000s, today's pros are definitely faster than previous generations.
The commonly held conception is that improvements are down to us humans getting fitter, faster, and stronger. But is this the case? Should we be so self-congratulating? Are we actually constantly improving as a species?
We are, aren't we? But evolution...
I am, definitely.
Yeah, you are an improvement. Evolution takes thousands of years though, doesn't it? So it's unlikely that we'll have seen any kind of significant genetic improvement in the last 50 years. Although actually, you've got to take Lloydie out of the equation here because he is something of an outlier on that sort of...
His best years are ahead of him, that's what everyone says. I mean.
Well, yeah. When I look at Lloydie, I sort of think quite positively for the future of the human race.
Amateur.
Well, back to the topic in hand. Let's take a look at the world record progression of the 4-kilometre Team Pursuit. So, in 1993, the record stood at 4 minutes, 3.8 seconds, which is pretty quick.
Not bad.
But this has steadily got beaten year on year, incrementally, till now, where it stands at the present day at 3:49.8 seconds.
Now, if we remove the tech then, would we still see that kind of incremental progression? Would we have seen as much of it? I wonder if there's a way of checking to see, Ollie.
Well, I think the way to do it is to look at sports where you can remove the tech, where there's minimal impact of tech. So a good example would be a lot of track and field sports. An example we can take would be the triple jump. So the triple jump is one of the longest standing records in history and is currently held by Jonathan Edwards, who you may be familiar with, some of you may be familiar with if you watch Eurosport, as he's a presenter on there. Now, back in 1995, Jonathan Edwards set the world triple jump record at a whopping 60 feet, and this has held for 23 years.
Don't worry, Europeans, that's 18.29 metres. And then also, there's another example in track and field, actually, Randy Barnes.
Good old Randy.
You know Randy Barnes, yeah. In 1988, he set an almighty shot put record of 22 metres just over, which is, I believe, about 70-something feet. Anyway, and that one has stood clearly for 30 years. If you then put that in the context of cycling, well, what about Moser's hour record, 1984? It'd be almost unthinkable for the hour record to be back at 50 kilometres, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you just can't think of that in cycling, that it would last that long. It is unthinkable.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the hour record, Si, there's another great example there. And in 1972, Eddie Merckx, yes, the Eddie Merckx, widely regarded as the GOAT, smashed the hour record with a distance of 49.431 kilometres.
That's like 49.431 kilometres per hour, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's really fast.
You worked that out really fast as well.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, complex maths. Someone's got to do it.
Following this, the hour record was continually getting broken and broken and broken, and athletes were going faster and faster. And the UCI felt that Tech was advancing the record too quickly, and therefore it decreed that only attempts using equipment similar to that of Eddie Merckx would count. Following this, Chris Boardman gave it a go, widely regarded as one of the greatest time trialists of all time, having won yellow jerseys in the Tour de France, the World Championships, and an Olympic gold medal. Now, he took on Merckx's record using similar equipment and broke it, but he broke it by just 10 metres, and this was in the year 2000. And following that, he retired.
Yeah, immediately retired, didn't he? Unsurprisingly, perhaps. Now, if you fast forward to the present day, the record rules have changed once again, and so now riders are permitted to using the same equipment that the UCI allow them to use on track events like the Team Pursuit. And since that point, the record has been broken again and again and again. And now it's currently held by Bradley Wiggins, of course, with a distance of 54.526 kilometres. However, what's got this whole conversation started really is the Danish rider Martin Toft Madsen, who recently tried and failed to break the record, but he calculated, quite remarkably I think, that with an air density of 0.9 kilograms per meters cubed, he would actually only need to put out, and bear in mind this is with a fully optimised position, 310 watts to break Wiggins' record. 310 watts for an hour. Like, that's eminently doable.
Yeah, it's certainly doable, especially when you consider that a lot of professional cyclists in the World Tour seem to have functional threshold powers of around 410 watts. Well, 410, 400 watts, around that sort of ballpark.
Roughly 411.
Was so specific. In the case of the hour record, the results clearly indicate that tech has a massive impact in progressing records. So I guess this raises the question, should there be an event in cycling where the bikes and equipment remains unchanged, where it's purely about the fitness, the athletic fitness of the rider?
Japanese Kirin Racing, where they are all riding exactly the same bikes and equipment.
Yeah, well, should all riding be like that then?
I hope not. I mean, genuinely, I hope not. But there are benefits to having standardised equipment, aren't there?
Yeah, so I think a good example is to think about poorer countries and developing nations. So in the example, say, if you look at the Olympics, the big teams on the track, such as Great Britain, Australia, Germany, France, they're incredibly well funded and they can afford all the latest and greatest tech, skin suits, wheels, frames and everything. But poorer countries are going to struggle to match this, and that is where the gains are really being sort of made year on year on year. And if we look at the example of swimming, in 2008 at the Olympics we saw a massive step up in world records being broken, and this was largely in part down to a lot of the best swimmers wearing the latest swimming suits and basically underwater skin suits. But these were incredibly expensive, prohibitively expensive to swimmers from poorer nations.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we wouldn't want cycling to be any more elitist than it already is, but I think tech is an intrinsic part of it. Cycling with no tech is just running at the end of the day. Well, it is, isn't it? Like, when the bike was invented 150 or so years ago, that started the tech arms race. And so if you really want to see human performance, you've got to take away our wheels.
Well, I guess. I mean, if you look at endurance sports in track and field as well, you know, the marathon record has been incrementally getting faster and tumbling year on year on year, similar to some cycling records, and there's, you know, not a huge amount of tech in marathon running. But I guess maybe you could then look at improved training, improved diet, improved knowledge of sports science in all those, you know, physiological areas, and maybe there's a lot of incremental improvements that are happening in that. But I guess, you know, with regards to cycling equipment, maybe there's a point at which we'll reach a peak in that. You know, when we're going to reach peak aero? Presumably there is a peak.
Well, yeah, I think we're probably getting fairly close to peak aero, aren't we? Anyway, let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Has tech actually been responsible for cyclists getting faster? Or, as Ollie suggested, improved diet, improved training, improved analysis of performance? Is that actually more important?
Yeah, we can't wait for your comments, so fire away.
Crowdfunding is both a legitimate way of launching new products, but also a playground for scammers and dreamers. So having scoured Indiegogo and Kickstarter, we are going to let you try and decide which is which.
Scam or legit? What a game.
That is a game.
How have we not thought of this before?
Well, let's see how it works. Ready? First up, we have this, the Klassen. So this is supposedly the world's most intelligent bike helmet. It has motion sensor software built into it so that it will indicate and also have a brake light for you, and it also has blind spot detection. Oh yes.
Looking at it, it looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I want one myself.
No.
But I don't know, I'm going to say legit on that one.
Ollie says legit. I say the Klassen smashed its funding target on Indiegogo in 2017, but worryingly, it also smashed its funding target on Kickstarter the year before, and since summer of 2017, there's not been much news.
All right, what about this then? It's called the Carry Gum, and it's the small bike rack that can safely stow small parcels, clothes, and packed lunches to your bike.
Bungee cord strapped to your handlebars.
It's simple and ingenious, Si.
It is simple and ingenious. I'm gonna say legit, Ollie.
Well, it came out this summer. It's
Yes.
patent pending.
Oh.
It's met its funding target,
Oh.
so it could well be legit.
It
Nice
could
work,
be
guys.
legit, yeah. I'm not particularly excited about its forthcoming release, I'll be completely honest. I think no improvement on a rucksack, but nevertheless, there you go, that might be a success story.
Might be.
Right then, how about this? This is the 52 speaker, which is a portable Bluetooth speaker shaped like a hip flask that attaches to your bike with a quarter turn mount.
Right, scam. Who would want a hip flask for anything else other than to carry alcohol?
Scam. Scammy says, this is legit. Smashed its funding target in May of this year, and it's even got a website. Okay, so the manufacturers, potential manufacturers of this product, say that it's mountable onto your handlebars to serenade your cycling trips. The volume is perfect for riding while still being cognizant of your surroundings and being courteous to your fellow riders.
Yeah, sounds great, that Si. So, is it shipping then? Where can I buy one?
It's not shipping just yet, but it's early days. I think maybe we need to just give them time, you know, to set up international distribution and things.
Yeah, right. Stay tuned next week for more tech. Last week it was the Campagnolo Shamal wheels, and this week we have a new feature. And this new feature is called Screw Riding Upgrades by Upgrades.
That's right, a new feature for the Tech Show. Upgrading, it's an intrinsic part of being a cyclist, particularly a tech-savvy cyclist. And so we want to see what you're doing and find out why you're doing it. It could be a small upgrade, like changing your chain, maybe some different colored bolts on your chain set. It could be bigger things like wheels or a new paint job or an entirely new group set. The only thing we might struggle with is new inner tubes, probably, but you know.
Yeah, you could probably just lie about that.
Yeah, don't lie about stuff. Anyway.
Either way, if you want to get involved, then send us a before shot and an after shot, your name, location, and a brief description as to why you've done the upgrade. Then you can either get the photo to us by using the hashtag GCN upgrades, or you can send the pictures in using our uploader, and a link to which is below.
Yeah, we really want to celebrate this pretty amazing part of being a bike rider. Do you want to get started, Ollie, this week?
Here's a picture of a bike which I upgraded last week.
Ollie, that's not a bike, that's my bike, mate.
Yeah, it is your bike, but I fitted a brand new Shimano RX Ultegra rear derailleur to it, which has a clutch mechanism to keep the chain tensioned on rough surfaces.
You did. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I even made a video about it and everything, so we'll put a link to that below. But I did get it a bit dirty though.
You did, and you also blamed me for having a dirty chain, when in fact it was nothing to do with me. It was clean when I last saw it. I did see the video there, it was great, and a really, really interesting illustration of actually how a clutch mech works. So if you haven't seen it, I suggest that you go and check it out. I will confess though, I've taken it off again. Partly because it really, really annoys me having mix and match group sets, so I've put the Dura-Ace rear mech back on, but also because I don't think that bike needs it actually, because it's very much a road bike, and it doesn't go really anywhere near mega off-road.
Did you clean it?
I haven't cleaned it yet. No, I confess I haven't. Despite it being effectively tank oil on the chain, it's still running quite smoothly. So yeah. But no, what did you actually think? Not about the bike, but about the mech.
Oh yeah, it was wicked. I wasn't sure if it would work, but I was genuinely impressed, like how it operated and how it did actually stop the chain slapping around. I've not used one before, and I don't really have a mountain bike background, but yeah, I was. Cool bit of tech.
Yeah, I think so. For gravel and for cyclocross and for anywhere you're taking a drop bar bike off-road, makes complete sense, doesn't it?
It's now time for the giveaway, and we have 4 lucky winners from the Rocker Glasses unboxing that I did last week.
We do indeed. Right, are you ready? Fingers crossed. First up, we've got Martin Bollo, then we've got Torben Burnt, we've got Robert Baumgart and Mezaros Zolt. So there we go, 4 very, very lucky people.
Yeah, we'll be in touch to send you either your Roker GP1X or CP1X sunglasses, so stay tuned for that. It's now time for Bike of the Week, and last week we had a clash of the disc brake aero bike titans at the Tour of Utah. We had Nicola Conchi's Trek Madone versus Joe Dombrowski's Cannondale System 6.
It's a fair fight, that one, isn't it? Which should you vote for?
I went for the Trek. I got a Trek.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've already got a Trek Madone, so I'm going to go for the Dombrow's System 6.
All right. What did you go for? That is the important question. Sorry, Ollie, but it is. The results are in, and it turns out, with 59% of the vote, it's the Trek Madone. There we go, yeah, your influence obviously paid off. A worthy winner, I think, it's fair to say. Very nice indeed. Right, what's up this week, mate?
Well, this week we have Jakob Fuglsang's beautiful custom Argon 18 Gallium Pro versus the custom, it's 2 custom bikes this week, the custom Pinarello Bolide of Dutch national time trial champion Dylan van Baarle.
Well, there we go. I tell you what, if it was based on chainring sizes, Van Baarle would have that in the bag, wouldn't he? I mean, that's an absolute
monster.
Yeah, a whopper of a chainring. Right, okay, get voting on screen now. Can we just say, by the way, that paint job for Fuglsang was done just down the road from us.
Was it?
Yeah, 13 miles away, or 20 kilometres.
Is it? That's
Serious?
pretty cool. We also have a video on that bike as well, so if you've not seen it yet, check that out.
Right then, next up, it is the Bike Vault. That time where we get to see your amazing bikes and fundamentally pass judgment as to whether it's nice or super nice. Right, what's coming up first, Ollie?
Well, first up, we have this 2017 Specialized S-Works Tarmac, and it's located in New Jersey, USA, and it belongs to Rich. Now, he says this is his latest build. It's got the Dura-Ace 9000 on it, which I have to say, right, the Dura-Ace 9000, I still love that chain set.
Yeah.
I just think it's a classic. It looks brilliant.
Yeah, absolute beauty.
And it's also got some rather tasty tan sidewalls on it, like Vittoria Corsa Speeds on there.
Yeah, and cracking photograph as well. Love the shrubbery.
Great composition.
Yeah.
Full marks for composition there. That's, do you know, I mean,
I'm not sure I can fault that, Ollie.
This is easy, this one. This is a super nice one.
Ring the bell, mate, ring the bell.
Stunning.
I've not missed that, I'm not gonna lie. Right, next up, we've got Maximilian, who's submitted his Colnago Mexico from 1984-1985. We've got a retro bike. He is from Germany. He said he rebuilt this completely with Shimano Dura-Ace 7700/7900. That's cool, isn't it?
Ah, it's a stunner.
It's an iconic Colnago paint job, that isn't it?
Beauty.
Cerrone. Can I just say, mate?
Yeah. You don't like something about this, do you?
Oh, the white tyres, you know? Like, I'm not sure bike tyres should be white. Should they?
Do you know what, though? It's all coordinated with colour. You know, he's mixed it with the frame.
True.
You know, the saddle, the tape, the tyres, it's all there. But I just think maybe you can get away with that in Mexico, but in a lot of places, including where we're fortunately based, they're not going to stay white for long.
Given, though, that this bike is in pristine condition, should we not give it super nice? Because it's super nice.
Yeah, I mean, that chain set's beautiful as well.
Right then,
It's a super nice.
Maximilian, you got yourself a super nice. Right then, next up.
Next up, we've got a very tidy looking felt F1R, and this is from Jim Cotton. He's in the Chilterns in the UK. He has got Mavic Arcis wheels on there, so it's a very light climbing machine. Nice sort of carbon finish on the frame. It's also got an info crank on there for some power measurement and a Roman Evo saddle. So clearly set it up to his specifications.
It's a blue and nice bike, Ollie.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I can truly see the bike.
I'm squinting at the photo. I'm struggling to see it there. He's sort of picked a quite a distracting, complicated backdrop.
I'm going to struggle to say that that's a super nice because I don't feel like I can truly gauge the niceness of this bike.
Yeah, I think if we can contrast this with the first example, with the excellent photo taken by Rich.
That's right.
From America,
New Jersey, USA.
Yeah, then yeah, the contrast is stark.
Yeah, Jim, it's a lovely bike, but it ain't super nice. Right then, we have this one from Connor, who sent this in from Dublin in Ireland. This is his TCR, his giant TCR. Just finished an early morning spin up Ticknock Hill overlooking Dublin, he says. And that is a mega looking bike. I also appreciate the risk that you've taken to actually lean your bike against a rock outside, because that's a precarious place to lean an expensive carbon bike.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his massive girthy stem that he's got there.
Easy tiger.
But also, I'm just a big fan of when you've got a nice lightweight frame, like a giant TCR, but then you couple it with big deep section wheels.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of time for that look.
Lovely proportions as well. I mean, that is a nice, like petite bike, but with a super cool position on there as well.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, that definitely ticks boxes. And color coordinated blue cable outers. I like that. Ollie?
Super nice.
It's a super nice from me too. Nice, okay. Last one then. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah. So we have got from Stephen here, who's in Milton Keynes in the UK, a Colnago C96 Decor. Now, what he's gone for here is something that we get quite often on the Tech Show, which is the controversial topic of modern blended with retro.
Retro and modern and retro. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I am a big fan of modern and retro bikes. We've got a nice vintage steel frame, classic position, but then we got Campagnolo wheels, modern versions, and an up-to-date Campagnolo group set. What do you say? It's Chorus and Shimano Mille wheels. I mean, I flipping love that bike. I slightly object to that really chunky 4-arm Campagnolo crankset.
Yeah.
The previous 5-arm crankset from Campagnolo lent itself perfectly to a retro modern build.
Yeah.
This one, it jars ever so slightly.
Yeah, I mean, I love the paint job on the frame. I love the tan sidewalls. I love those wheels. But yeah, I do find my eye just being drawn by the chain set a little bit too much.
It's funny, isn't it? Because that frame should dominate the bike, but it's not. It's the chain set, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible, maybe, Stephen, to change the crankset out to a 5-arm crankset and then you'll get an absolute straight up super nice?
Yeah. I think that's a nice for me. It's a nice bike.
Yeah. Stephen, that is a really nice bike, but it's not a super nice. I'm so sorry. I feel awful because, I mean, clearly you put a lot of effort in and that is an absolute stunner. Also matches my new shoes.
I'd happily own it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Without it, if you ever want to offload it, there's 2 people here that will bid for it on eBay. Anyway, there we go. That is an end to the Bike Vault. We'll bring it to a close for this week. Remember, if you want to send in something, we have our uploader. So yeah, share your bike with us, and it can be judged in a particularly haphazard, very unscientific manner, but we'll all see it and we will all love it.
Unfortunately, Si, that brings us to the end of the show. But it doesn't end there, because you can still get involved with the comments section down below, and please contribute to the weekly talking point.
That's right, and once you've done that, if you want to carry on having discussions and communicating amongst each other, let me remind you that we have, of course, a GCN community Facebook page. Many of you already know about this, many of you perhaps do not. So if you want to submit your bike for unilateral approval, if you've got a tech question, then actually the community can help. So head over to Facebook, search for GCN community page, and you'll find it. Also, doesn't end there, there's another video to watch. Why not check out that one of Ollie upgrading my bike from Dura-Race to Ultegra RX. That is a very interesting video, and I do suggest you watch it. That one is just on screen now.
Some good science in that video.